High above the Earth, infrared surveillance satellites register a sudden thermal bloom over western Iran. Within seconds, seismic monitoring systems detect a shockwave signature powerful enough to trigger automated earthquake alerts. For a brief moment, analysts assume it is a natural event. Then the second wave hits. A blinding flash tears through the darkness of the Zagros mountain range. A rising fireball expands into the night sky, followed by a shockwave that rolls across miles of desert terrain. What detonated was not a fuel depot, not a factory, not an accident. It was a deeply buried underground ammunition complex, estimated to contain nearly 5,000 tons of military-grade explosives. And in this fictional scenario, intelligence sources begin to point toward one of the most elite special operations units in the world, the United States Army Rangers. If true, this was not merely a strike. It was a calculated geopolitical message. The strategic background. For decades, tensions between the United States and Iran have existed in a fragile equilibrium. Sanctions, proxy conflicts, cyber operations, diplomatic negotiations. Periods of silence followed by periods of escalation. The rivalry rarely disappears, it simply changes form. In this fictional timeline, intelligence satellites detect unusual logistical activity in a mountainous sector of western Iran. Night convoys enter reinforced tunnel systems. Thermal signatures indicate heavy underground storage. Signals intercept suggest accumulation of long-range missile propellants, drone payload systems, heavy artillery munitions, high-yield explosive compounds. Strategic analysts run simulations. If deployed across regional theaters, the stockpile could significantly alter the balance of deterrence. The risk assessment becomes clear. Allow the depot to become operational or neutralize it before distribution. The decision. Inside secure briefing rooms, options are debated. Diplomatic pressure, cyber sabotage, covert disruption. Ultimately, in this fictional narrative, a limited kinetic option is drafted. Objective: neutralize the facility. Avoid prolonged engagement. Maintain plausible deniability. The selected unit, Rangers. The mission window, under 4 hours. No official acknowledgement. Success would remain silent. Failure would echo globally. The infiltration. Under heavy electronic countermeasures, a stealth aircraft approaches restricted airspace. Radar gaps are calculated. Interference windows are exploited. At high altitude, the rear ramp opens. One by one, operators step into the void. Parachutes deploy silently against the night sky. Ground contact is precise. No visible lights. No open communication channels. Only controlled movement and discipline. A micro-reconnaissance drone surveys the perimeter. Thermal optics identify guard rotations. Reinforced tunnel entrances are mapped. The team splits into 2 elements. Security overwatch. Demolition placement. Time is critical. Inside the mountain. The tunnel interior is narrow, reinforced, and stacked with secured military crates. Missile casings line one wall. Industrial containers of explosive compounds are secured in deep storage chambers. Precision charges are placed at structural stress points, designed to collapse the tunnel network without igniting the entire stockpile. But underground facilities are unpredictable environments. Confined pressure amplifies force. Chemical volatility increases risk. Charges are armed. The team withdraws to extraction distance. The countdown begins. 02:17 a.m. The detonation. The first explosion is controlled. Tunnel entrances collapse inward. Then something shifts. Internal pressure surges beyond calculated thresholds. Stored munitions ignite. One chamber detonates, triggering the next. The chain reaction accelerates. The mountain fractures. A massive fireball erupts skyward, illuminating the entire valley. The shockwave travels miles outward, shattering windows in nearby settlements. Seismic stations initially classify the event as a moderate earthquake. Minutes later, the data is revised. Infrared satellites capture a plume, rising nearly 10 kilometers into the atmosphere. The blast is equivalent to thousands of tons of explosives detonating almost simultaneously. The world begins to notice. The information surge. Within minutes, distant cell phone footage appears online. A glowing horizon, delayed thunderous sound, dust clouds rolling across dark terrain. Speculation spreads across global media. Industrial accident. Internal malfunction. Foreign strike. Official channels remain silent. Silence fuels narrative. Iran's response. By sunrise, Tehran issues a formal statement condemning what it describes as a hostile act. Sovereignty violation is declared. Military readiness levels are elevated. Missile batteries are repositioned. Naval patrols in the Persian Gulf increase operational tempo. Strategic messaging is firm but measured. Retaliation is neither confirmed nor denied. Deterrence posture becomes visible. Global market reaction. Energy markets respond immediately. Oil futures spike. Shipping insurance rates surge. Equity markets in Asia and Europe open under pressure. Financial analysts begin modeling worst-case escalation scenarios. Is maritime trade at risk? Will regional conflict expand? Could cyber retaliation target global financial systems? Volatility spreads faster than verified information. Diplomatic crisis management. The United Nations calls emergency consultations. Closed-door sessions begin. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization urges restraint without assigning direct attribution. Major global powers release carefully worded statements emphasizing de-escalation. Privately, back-channel diplomacy intensifies. Intermediaries relay messages. Red lines are clarified. Escalation thresholds are discussed. Both capitals understand the stakes. Neither side seeks open war. But neither side can afford perceived weakness. The escalation matrix. Military strategists outline potential response pathways. 1. Limited symbolic retaliation. 2. Cyber operations targeting infrastructure. 3. Proxy engagements in regional theaters. 4. Naval standoffs. 5. Controlled de-escalation. Each option carries risk. Each action invites reaction. The margin for miscalculation narrows with every hour. The human dimension. Beyond strategy and headlines, civilians near the blast zone face real consequences. Infrastructure damage. Air quality concerns. Psychological trauma from the sudden detonation. In geopolitical power struggles, civilian populations often absorb the shockwaves first. The strategic outcome. The depot is destroyed. Thousands of tons of explosives are eliminated. Short-term tactical objective achieved. Long-term strategic stability uncertain. Was deterrence strengthened? Or was retaliation merely delayed? In modern conflict environments, victory is rarely absolute. It is measured in temporary advantage. The brink. For several tense days, global markets fluctuate. Military forces remain on heightened alert. Intelligence agencies monitor every radar signal and satellite movement. Crisis management teams operate around the clock. One misread signal. One accidental engagement. One miscalculated response. The line between deterrence and war becomes dangerously thin. The de-escalation window. Gradually, rhetoric softens. Military postures stabilize. Back-channel diplomacy yields temporary restraint. Markets begin to recover. The immediate crisis fades, but the strategic memory remains. Trust, once fractured, is difficult to rebuild. Final reflection. One covert strike. One mountain reduced to rubble. 5,000 tons of explosives detonated in seconds. The physical shockwave lasted moments. The geopolitical shockwave lasted far longer. This fictional scenario underscores a critical reality of the modern era. Military capability is advanced. Intelligence is instantaneous. Information travels globally in seconds. In such an environment, stability depends less on strength and more on restraint. Because in a world this interconnected, every action carries consequences far beyond its point of impact. This story is fictional, but the fragility of global equilibrium, that is very real.